You're listening to a special presentation from Night of the Living podcast, Zoned Out, the Twilight Zone revisited with Freddy and Joe. Oh, howdy, Joe.
Freddy and Joe and Freddy. Hi, Freddy. How are you?
I'm good. You and I are having a long distance call right now.
We are having a long distance call.
I'm in Cincinnati. And Joe, what is the name of your town again? It's not Minneapolis.
Matamidi. Yeah, it's I always call it Mahatamidi, so I can remember how to spell it. But it's one of those that you have to spell carefully every time, unless somebody knows how to spell it.
It's a while.
I feel kind of weird.
I couldn't even try to pronounce it. Is one of the reasons that I prompted you for it.
Yeah.
So that's why I always say Minnesota. I'm always like Minneapolis. I know it's not super close, but
Twin Cities. You know, it's one of those. Minnesota is one of those, because the Twin Cities are the Twin Cities. It's that, and then there's an inner ring of suburbs and an outer ring of suburbs, and it's just like everything blends into. So like if you places, when they search up your address, you put in all the information. It's like, you live in St. Paul, and I'm like, close enough.
Yeah, it's like that for us too. Weird neighborhoods and stuff.
Right.
So we're talking about the episode long distance call today. This one, kind of spooky, unsettling in a couple of moments.
Yeah.
Truly unsettling.
Especially because this is a video episode, so it stands out to me as like, ooh, it's more clear than the film ones, and yet it's got like some of the shadows and stuff that happen lend a little. It's kind of a Dark Shadows ish.
Yeah, very so,
because that was all done with films, or a video rather.
It's the last one too, I think. I'm pretty sure this is the last video episode we'll see. It's at least I know this was the last one they shot, and I'm pretty sure it's the last one they aired. But it's too early in the day on a weekend for me to remember exactly. But just trust that you won't. I don't think we're going to see another video episode after this.
I hope not.
Earlier in our podcast series, I was thinking of Long Distance Call. This title, I got it mixed up with another episode, which is
okay.
So in an earlier episode, I was like, there's an episode that's about an elderly woman receiving calls throughout the night, and I was thinking of that episode. But this is Long Distance Call, different story. But
it's with the little Billy Mooney you always mentioned.
Little Billy Mooney. This aired March 31st, 1961. This was the third of 6 episodes directed by James Sheldon. He started off with The Whole Truth. He's also going to return for A Penny for Your Thoughts, It's a Good Life, Still Valley, and I Sing the Body Electric. So if you want to hear more about him, The Whole Truth episode would be the place to go for that. Written by Bill Idelson and Charles Beaumont. This was really interesting. I listened to the Blu-ray commentaries, and one of them is with Billy Mooney and Bill Idelson. And basically, what happened was Bill Idelson wrote the screenplay for this, or teleplay, and sent it in, and they liked it, right? But then they were like, "Oh, we lost it, so we're gonna have Charles Beaumont just rewrite it," which is weird, right? So he was like, "Well, I have another copy." He told Rod Serling this, and he said Rod Serling sounded like he didn't want that. That's not the answer he wanted, because
copy. But we lost ours, so we're gonna redo it.
Yeah.
So
you might be able to guess what's happening here, but there's actually kind of a sweet and sad story behind why they're doing this. But Bill Idelson did have success later on, and he said about this episode that what was the quote he said? It was the only way to get anywhere was to let someone take advantage of you. And this was like his in to the industry, he felt. So, but the reason behind it was Charles Beaumont had early onset Alzheimer's, because he had all these health problems throughout his life anyway. And he couldn't write anymore. And he had 10 episodes left in his contract. So as long as they could give him credit for 10 more stories, he would fulfill his contract. They were doing it as a favor to him, the series was. And once, they figured it all out, they eventually gave credit to both writers, but Bill Idelson really wrote it. And Charles Beaumont was there as a kind of social promotion, I guess, in a way. But I think it really kind of touching. It's kind of a human. It sounds like someone's being taken advantage of at first.
Yeah.
But when you hear the whole story, and even Idelson's take on it is really compassionate. in kind. It really impressed me.
It'd make a cool episode of like some show that's a series show where it's like, yeah, oh, here's the second twist. Here's the third twist. Oh,
Yeah, it's an emotional roller coaster. The story it really is. The last, I already said this about the tape thing. The setting of this is entirely the Bales family home, inside, a little bit outside. And that's probably because it was shot on tape. So they had to, have tight control of where they were filming. Couldn't take too many chances. 13 in the cast, but the key players are Chris Bales. He's the dad in the story, Billy's dad. First of 2 appearances by Philip Abbott. He's going to come back in the parallel. He's interesting. He was an actor and a director, but he was known for being on the FBI, Quincy, and Columbo. So he was like a crime guy in a lot of TV shows. But
he got a little cop face.
He has kind of he has a little bit of a cop face about him. He was on a B-24 bomber during World War II, and he got the Air Medal and 3 oak leaf clusters. So he was an honored airman. His performance in this is really good and tortured. It's insanely current. It doesn't feel dated to me at all.
Yeah.
Grandma Bales, this is his mother. This is Lily Darla, who is a Hungarian actress who fled Europe because of the Nazis, like so many people. Came to America, became a citizen in 1944, and then she was all over the New York stage. She won a Tony Award for Les Blancs. And she was also known for that role, but also she's known for this role. This episode is so well loved that she's kind of remembered for this role. She has a cute line that, of course, Chris, I always follow the rules of the house unless I don't like them.
I started off my synopsis with that. It's awesome. Yeah, it's great.
Very like you can see a lot of maybe older women in this character with that particular line, I think. Then we have Sylvia Bales. This is Billy's mom, Chris's young bride. Only appearance by Patricia Smith. She was on stage with Henry Fonda in Point of No Return, which just struck me as funny that they did a show called Point of No Return, and then Henry Fonda's daughter was in the movie Point of No Return, which is totally unrelated story-wise. I just thought it was funny.
It's the first thing I thought of when you said Point of No Return. I was like, wasn't Bridget Fonda in Point of No Return? Yeah. Love it.
I wonder if that, because it was based on La Femme Nikita, the film The Point of No Return, I'm wondering if they changed it to Point of No Return as a tribute to her dad.
That's cute.
Maybe. Who knows? Wait, is Henry or Peter her dad? I can't remember now.
Oh, I don't know.
Is Henry Peter's dad?
Oh, Henry is Peter's dad, and then
is her
Peter
dad.
is Bridget's dad. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that sounds right. She was in every big TV show of the 60s and 70s. And then eventually she became like a paralegal for one of the big composer agencies. But yeah, she was on Next Gen, Rockford Files, Gunsmoke, all kinds of shows that everybody in the Gen X grew up watching in reruns and broadcast.
This
TV.
is Sylvia Bales. This is the mom.
Sylvia,
okay.
Patricia Smith. Billy is Billy Mooney, a huge sci-fi icon because he's Will Robinson in Lost in Space. He is all over the Twilight Zone in a couple of episodes, major roles in this, and then he's coming back in It's a Good Life and in Praise of Pip. So three pretty big episodes. He was a musician too, and I didn't know this, but like he used to work with Barnes and Barnes. That was like the little group. I don't know how many people were in this, but you know the song Fish Heads from Dr. Demento?
Yeah.
That's his group.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty fun too. Him and Weird Al, I guess, were really good friends because they both worked on the Dr. Demento show or were popular on the Dr. Demento show.
I love those crazy connections, and you always wonder what songs like that where it's like, who wrote this song? Like, what?
Yeah.
What were you thinking? What were you smoking?
It's
crazy.
It was the most popular. I think it was the most requested song on Dr. Demento's show when he was doing his radio show.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so fun. Will Yankovic was Weird Al Yankovic. Billy Mooney, William. I got there somehow. Weird Al, he was a big fan of Lost in Space, is how they became friends.
Oh, cool.
Through that. And Mooney introduced Weird Al to his wife. So
Oh, I
it's a
love that.
pretty deep connection, really.
That's cool.
I love the more music stuff about him I thought was fun. He was in a band called Seduction of the Innocent with Miguel Ferreira, who is an awesome actor. He passed away, unfortunately, but like RoboCop, I always think of him in RoboCop, but he was in Tales from the Crypt. Played a lot of assholes, really, really great at it. I loved him so much.
Wasn't he one of the, was he related to Rosemary Clooney?
Well, yeah, they're related. Yeah, the Clooneys and the Ferrers are related. I can't remember exactly how. But his dad, Miguel Ferrer's dad, was the one who was in Lawrence of Arabia and all that. I can't remember. Is it Jose Ferrer? I think.
I think that sounds right.
But yeah, they're definitely an entertainment family. Shirley, the babysitter. This is the only appearance by Jenny Maxwell. This is the thing she's known for is getting spanked by Elvis in Blue Hawaii, which is really funny. But that's the fun thing she's known for. The tragic thing she's known for is she was murdered in 1981. Her and her husband, who was an attorney, and the crime was never solved. They think it was a robbery attempt, and they were killed in their apartment in Beverly Hills. But there were mob rumors that her husband was connected to the mafia too. I don't know if any of that shit's substantiated though.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
Best remembered again for being spanked in Blue Hawaii. And she was Ellie Corbett. She was the party girl in that movie, which makes me want to go back and watch Blue Hawaii again.
I don't know if I've ever seen it.
It's goofy. It's like all the other Elvis movies, kind of silly. Mr. Peterson, the driver who nearly hits Billy. That guy really didn't have much of a career. I just mentioned him because he's a major player in the story at one point. Reed Hammond. And I'm kind of just going to blow through the rest of these supporting players and just jump down to the firemen, because the team of firemen are really the next really interesting thing. Lou Brown's one of the firemen. He was in a thing about machines back there in Seventh, which we haven't watched yet. The Seventh is made up of phantoms. The other fireman was in Static and Showdown with Rance McGrew. And the fireman you don't really see very much of him. And I don't know if you caught that was Robert McCord, who is the guy we were talking about recently, where I was like, he has 32 credited appearances on the Twilight Zone.
Oh yeah.
But he's really in like over 60 episodes in some capacity or another. And sometimes he's just not credited. And I don't know if he was credited in this one or not, but he's one of the firemen who are working on him near the end of the episode. He has me
paramedics.
Yeah. The paramedics. And I just thought that was really wild that he's just kind of, now I want to watch the whole series from his character's perspective.
We need a mega montage of every
appearance
clip of him in there. Yeah, exactly.
I wonder if anybody's done it. That'd be a lot of work, but somebody should do it. I'm not saying it should be us. I don't know if I have time for that. And then real quick, so I can give it over to Joe for the story. The episode, the original script called for Billy Mooney to show him like Great Gatsby style floating in that pool.
Oh, wow.
And his mom wouldn't let him do it because she thought it was dangerous and also really dark and might give him bad ideas,
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting. So that's why it's very, just a hand you see at the end pulling.
Yeah.
And the closing placard of this episode, I just wanted to know, is like maybe one of my favorites in the series, where it's the phone kind of dropped on the floor, but it has that circular print clown rug under it. And it almost looks occult because the clowns are almost in like a circle, like a pentagram would be, with the phone in the middle.
Yeah. And you start hearing that. Dun, 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 dun.
It's so great.
Yeah.
It's a perfect little bookend for the episode's theme. But that's all I have to say about all the tech behind the scenes stuff on this one. Do you have anything you'd want to add to that section?
Oh, I love it. No, it's just, it's good.
All right, let's get into the meat, Joe.
Diving in. All right. So we start out, it's a kind of bucolic scene, and Chris is leading his mom down the stairs, and his mother is much older lady. And you kind of hear off screen a little bit. All right, mother. remember the rule of the house today is the moment this is over, you go back upstairs. And she's like, oh, that's fine, Chris. You know, I always follow the rules of the house, except when I don't agree with them.
So
Which
like Melania.
yeah, she's got a Hungarian accent, which I think is Hungarian. Anyway, her accent is very distinctive, but it's kind of a little bit hard to place. It's almost Gruish from Despicable Me. Anyway, Hungarian. I love it. I love that accent.
I do too.
I think it's super awesome. But it's got like an Italian flavor to it. But I kind of took that moment as almost foreshadowing for the rest of the episode of it being kind of like, oh, I'll follow the rules unless I don't agree with them, in which case I'm just going to do whatever I want because I'm an old lady. So
yeah,
deal with it. So Billy's grandmother is there for his 5th birthday, and Billy sees her and runs over to her, and he's like, Grandma, and she lifts him up, and Chris is like, don't exert yourself, Mom. And she's like, oh, Billy's a feather. He's like, nothing. And so I'm just going to keep doing that accent, whatever it is. I'm not sure what it is. So she's super focused on Billy, like obsessed, talks about him exclusively, like that's where all of her attention is, which, I mean, I think that's a pretty grandma thing to do. And so they get down to his cake and tells him to make a wish, and he blows out the candles, and she asks him, like, what did you wish for? Tell Grandma. And so he kind of leans into her ear and tells her, and Sylvia, the mom, is like, well, maybe would Billy share the wish with everybody? And Grandma goes, no, that's just a secret between Billy and me. And it's like, okay, all right, sure. And then they start cutting into the cake, and Chris is like, let me cut the cake. And she's like, I can cut the cake. You think I'm too old to cut the cake? She's like, when I get too old for that, you get the shovel and you dig in the hole.
I can do it myself.
Right. And Billy's like, shovel. Ha ha ha. It's like, damn. And then my favorite part is she cuts up this piece of cake as she's talking, and then he just mashes this cake into his face. Just grabs it with his hands, no silverware, nothing. And you see, like, there's like frosting squirting out the sides of his mouth, and she's like, Billy, like laughing at him.
As someone who gave up sugar, did that scene bother you in any particular way, worse than a person who's still eating it?
I'm like, that kid's gonna have diabetes.
Yeah.
But I was like, are they feeding you, kid? Or like, I wonder how many takes they had to do too. But probably, again, at the start of video, it was probably just one take. Like,
oh, I'm sure.
Okay, he crammed it in there. Whatever.
I mean,
Good
how
enough.
many cakes are they going to make? For them
Right.
to the expense of how many? Maybe 3 and feed the crew. Who knows?
Right. And Billy's a pro, so knock that shit right out. And then she gets kind of emotional. She says her heart's full and all this, and she says, I'd like to say something. Can I say something? And you're like, why are you asking if you can say something? And she has these lines that stood out to me, and I'll talk in a second about why this kind of stands out to me. But she goes, my little Billy, my wonderful little boy, he gave me life again. An old woman, good for nothing, no more but to complain. He held out his hands to me and made me alive. And she starts crying, and Billy goes, why are you crying, Grandma? She goes, I don't know, my angel. Maybe because I won't be here with you very long. And Sylvia and Chris, like the parents, like exchange a glance, like, where are you going with this, Mom? And Billy goes, why? She goes, I will be away. And Billy goes, where? And Chris, the dad's like, nowhere, Billy. Grandma's going to be right here next year and the year after that.
Grandma's on the roof and we can't get her down.
And she goes, I love this part. She's like, no, don't lie to him. I will be gone. And Chris goes, it's time for presents. Come on, Billy.
Grandma means she'll be on a farm upstate.
Grandma knows she's going to die. Yeah. I mean, she's keeping it real. And the parents are like, we're not going to talk about that. All right, well.
The discomfort of it.
Yeah. So he grabs Billy and he takes him in the other room. And apparently they unwrap a gift in like 4 seconds because he's already playing with it by the time they get over there. But before that, Sylvia's like, you know, why do you, please don't, talk to him. Like she starts to say this, but then grandma kind of catches herself and she's like, are you okay? And she goes, no, just a little short of breath, So then they go in the other room and Billy's like shooting the camera with this giant gun. It's like a full-size revolver. And he's like, bang, bang. And so you can tell going into the scene that there's a little tension between Grandma and Sylvia. And then there's a moment where Sylvia's like super excited and she's like, oh, do you like that? Here, I want you to open this gift next. And then Grandma from the background's like, Billy, don't you want to open my gift? And both the mom and the dad share a look like, and the mom's like, you can tell they're almost having that silent conversation of like, she's old. Let her just give him her gift because, it's special. And
It's
she's
a
like, fine. But
Gerber life insurance policy. Whole life.
whole life.
Whole life.
And so she says, don't you want to see what Grandma got you? And he's like, oh boy. And he runs over there and she gives him a gift and he kisses her on the cheek and starts opening the gift and it zooms in on the gift. So, this is Chekhov's gift, to mangle a phrase. And he tells her, she opens it up and it's a phone. And he's like, oh boy, a telephone. And he's really excited that he got a telephone. And she's like, yeah, you can always talk to me on it, even after I'm gone. And she's like, they pretend playing a game of telephone and it's kind of silly and everybody kind of laughs. And she stands up to like kind of go over to him. And she just kind of stops for a second. And Chris kind of comes over and she goes, Chris, take me upstairs now. And Billy goes, don't you want to play? And she goes, I want to, Billy. You just talk on the telephone. I will hear you. And then as she's going up the stairs, he goes, don't be sick, Grandma. Don't be sick. This is me, Billy. Please don't be sick. And then we get the voiceover. As must be obvious, this is a house hovered over by Mr. Death, that omnipresent player to the third and final act of every life. And it's been said, and probably rightfully so, that what follows this life is one of the unfathomable mysteries, an area of darkness which we, the living, reserve for the dead. Or so it is said. For in a moment, a child will try to cross that bridge which separates light and shadow. And of course, he must take the only route, that indistinct highway through the region we call the Twilight Zone. So we got everything set up. A little tension between Mom and Grandma. Some deep connection between Billy and Grandma, and a telephone that will bridge the distance.
If you told somebody, an unsuspecting person who had never watched The Twilight Zone, this is about an episode about a little boy that spends too much time on his phone, they are going to think it's a completely different thing than what it really is,
Or you add one more detail and say, spends too much time on the phone talking to his grandma. You'd be like, what the hell?
Kids just won't leave the phone alone.
Grandma's addicted to the phone. Grandma's a screenager. So we go to commercial, I think. Oh wait, no, that's not the commercial break. That's the doctor. It fades to the doctor comes down and shakes his head at Chris, and he and Sylvia and Billy are all just kind of anxiously waiting. And the doctor says it's best not to see her because she might not even recognize him. And Bill says he wants to see her, and Billy says he wants to see her, and they're like, well, you can't right now. She's resting and she's really sick. And he starts doing the kid voice where he was really good at it. He's like, I don't want to see grandma, It's like,
squirming.
It's like that. Unfortunately, I have like 3 kids of my own, and Uh, it's like that grating, like, oh, this is that voice that, oh,
Is every
and I have a
parent
hard time with that.
traumatized by that?
I don't know if every parent is. I know I was, and
Yeah.
I know for me it's a particularly stressful thing because it just like it's like nails on a chalkboard. But
Yeah.
um, anyway, I worked through it, and I love my kids, and they're great, and
I mean,
it's all
I
good.
would think it would be the most stressful. Like you think about from an evolutionary standpoint, that sound
Oh yeah,
should stress us out.
distress for my children. Right,
Yeah,
right,
because
makes
it could
sense.
be like I'm being eaten by a velociraptor right now.
I don't have legs anymore. They've been chewed off. Um, but so they relent, and as they're climbing the stairs, they kind of stop for a second, and Chris looks at Billy and he says, "Billy, if she acts strange, it's because of the medicine she's on." It's like, okay. And then they take a moment for him to blow his nose, and I'm not sure. I think that was just kind of to show it's more childlike, it just more realistic. But I don't know if there was any deeper meaning to that. And as we're going into this, the vibe I kept getting was this connection between Billy and Grandma. And I mentioned earlier that to you before we started that I've kind of made this bizarre connection to Hereditary and this idea that
Yeah, I'm
there's this
curious.
this powerful connection between Grandma and it skips a generation and goes down to Billy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you think that's like a callback to like matriarchal society stuff?
Well, and I think that yeah, the strong matriarch is a big piece of it. The deep connection, and I think that I don't think you see that as much these days. And I think there are unique situations where again in this kind of configuration where the her partner whoever was gone and she's really connected to Billy. But I really liked. I was inspired to think of Hereditary when I saw this. Just the spookiness of it and all that. Like, what are some different variations on this story that could be really, really cool? What if there was some other stuff going on and there was a reason why Grandma really was connected to him, and she
Yeah.
wanted to keep this connection going? And I mean, like she was thinking about that. I don't
It
think
could,
that's the case
but
here, but
you know what though, Joe? Like you might not be far off because there's no way that I don't think it's possible that Ari Aster has not, it's not a fan of the Twilight Zone or at least has seen it.
totally.
Um, and you could think of it as like you're saying, like as a jump off point. This story
Mhm.
could, because you could go one of two ways. This story can go very sinister. In fact, it feels like it's going to go very sinister until the very end.
Yeah.
Um, and then it kind of the humanity of it is returned. It takes a better turn. But Hereditary is yeah, like you're saying. What if it kept going down a dark path? This same story, it could eventually turn into a Hereditary type of thing. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I don't want to spoil anything from that, but if you're interested, see that movie. Ooh,
It's
man.
one of the best.
Oh, I had to watch it in segments and sometimes through my fingers as I was watching during the daytime.
Yeah,
That was that intense.
that was a horror movie. Just real quick, I saw that and I was like, this was such an intense movie. I don't think I can ever watch it again because it was so scary. And but as I've gone back, it's fallen in with other horror movies now where now that I'm used to it, I can go back to it and enjoy it in a
Yeah.
place of comfort and not a place of anxiety, like where I'm constantly, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like the first time you saw The Ring, it may have terrified you, but you know, the 10th time you've watched it, it's in your zeitgeist now. It's kind of, you know what to expect. And you're like,
Right.
yeah, you're just looking for the comfort of a horror movie. Like even Hereditary can fill that bill for me at this point.
Interesting. I wonder if that's kind of like you get to the point where your not your immune system, your nervous system is ready for the shocks that you may have forgotten or that after you've seen it a few times, you're like, it becomes predictable. And so your brain's like, well, this isn't as scary anymore because you know what's going to happen. But
Yeah.
it's like going to a Halloween haunt too. It's always a little bit variable, but it's could be scary again this time. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think with Hereditary, the familiarity of some of the occult stuff, once you've been through once and you realize where it's drawing inspiration, there's more comfort there too.
Right. Right. And you start to recognize things ahead of time. So yeah. Oh, and it's so good. Anyway, so they go up there, and so Grandma's laying in the bed, and when they see her, she recognizes Billy right away. He comes up to her, and she's very weak and kind of delusional, and Billy says a little something to her, and she's like, "My angel," and she says, "Hey, Mom, it's me, Chris." And she's like, "Who are you?" You know, and she's like, "It's me, Chris, your son." And he goes, "No, I don't know you. My son was taken away from me by a woman."
A woman.
and this is my son now, Billy. And so that piece right there could be read like really kind of, ooh, she's letting her real stuff show here. My son was taken away by a woman, Sylvia, and he wasn't my son anymore, and now Billy's my son.
This theme's going to pop back up in the series, the overbearing mother, versus the bride.
Yeah. It's a very interesting dynamic, and I wonder where that came from. If that's a Beaumont thing, well, clearly not a Beaumont thing because he didn't really write this one. But anyway, I thought that was really interesting, and the part we learn later about her history too is really interesting. It adds another factor to it, another facet of this kind of story. Anyway, so Billy asks her, "What's the matter?" And she goes, "It will be so lonely. I wish you could go with Grandma, Billy." And he goes, "Where?" She goes, "Away, far away. Just the two of us. Just you and me, Billy. No one else. Just you and me." And it's pretty clear.
That's best, Billy.
Yeah, be and Billy responds with, "Grandma? Grandma!" And then, he gets carried away. Yes. "I tried to be my best, Grandma." So bad. Let's see. Okay, so the next scene opens up, and it kind of fades to black, which, fade to black. And next scene opens up, and we see Billy standing on the ledge, like of a fish pond that is like off of their back porch, and he's just staring into the water. He's got his hands on his knees, he's looking into the water, and Sylvia's like calling to him, and she says, "Didn't you hear me?" And she's like, "Billy, you're not supposed to be up there. You're not supposed to hang out by the pond." And so they start talking, and she kind of gently chides him, but he comes back from there, and it's the foreshadowing there, of course. And she asks Billy to go up and play while she talks to her dad. Talk to Billy's dad, and the two of them start talking, and she was clearly having some feelings, like in the conversation there. And she's like, they were too close. It wasn't right. And I was like, oh, it's interesting that it wasn't right of their closeness would be like, well, the closeness is fine, but there was something odd about it. So I think that's kind of what she's referring to there.
I think it was the motherly thing. Like if your mother-in-law was trying to cut your position out of the family, basically, psychologically, at least.
Right. Kind of taking ownership of the child. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's, again, it's just that odd dynamic of the mother.
If you're on Reddit a lot and you're in the "Am I the Asshole" subreddit, you'll see that this is a more common scenario than most people know.
Yes, the mother-in-law wife dynamic. Ooh, yeah. And so Chris is like, "For God's sake, Sylvia, like, she was on sedatives and dying." She's like, she's going to say crazy things. And Sylvia's like, "You're right. I'm sorry. I'm overreacting." And she goes
like,
upstairs.
Chris, come. The movie Van Helsing is criminally underrated.
That's her final wish.
That's all the crazy shit the medicine's making her say stuff, man.
Tell the people it was such a good movie.
Please get hold of Stephen Summers, people, soon.
Be best. All right. So the mother like goes up to check on Billy, and you can hear Billy's talking to somebody, right? So you go upstairs, and Billy's talking to somebody on the phone, and she's like, "Who is that, Billy? Who are you talking to?" And he goes, "Grandma, she's lonesome. She wanted to know if I can come stay with her. Can I, Mama? Can I?" And he does this like head tilt thing that's very deliberate. And like, I'm sure that they told him, when you say that, twist your head to the side, like you're crazy or Stewie or something.
If he had only done it once, it wouldn't have been so out of place. But the second head tilt, it was very Michael Myers looking at a victim kind of head tilt.
Yes, it was very angular. Yeah. And so it stood out. It's like, ooh, that's a little spooky.
It is.
And then there's a commercial break. When it comes back, her parents are coming back into the house. Clearly they've been at the funeral. And the babysitter is distraught. And there's just some dude sitting on their couch. And they come in, and the babysitter's like, I'm sorry. And they're like, whoa, what happened? Turns out Billy, at one point while they were together, just ran out in the street. And this guy who's on the couch is the driver of the car, who said he barely managed to swerve out of the way, didn't even have time to put on his brakes, said that when he grabbed Billy and was like, why are you out in the street? Apparently he said that someone told him to do it. And the guy's like, the dad is like, I don't, what does he say? Oh, and the babysitter is like, I'm sorry, it wasn't my fault. And she's just like freaking out. And he's like, apparently it wasn't anybody's fault. And he's looking at the other guy, and it's like, okay, I get it stressful. Everybody calm down. So then Chris goes up, and he's talking to Billy by himself. And he says, hey, I know, why did you do that? And Billy's like, I don't know, and Chris tries to explain that Grandma's died, and that he asked that he not use the phone to talk to Grandma. He said, I know you're pretending. I know you're just talking to her because you miss her, but don't do it in front of Mom. And she's like, why? Or he says, why? And she's like, well, Chris is like, just don't. Which classic parent tactic. Why not? Because I said so. And so he's like, okay. And no sooner does he walk out the room and close the door, but then you hear Billy talking to Grandma again, talking to Daddy about Mommy. And then he giggles, like a creepy giggle.
This must have been really unsettling for the audiences of 61, I think, because they're not accustomed to this type of twist, I think, as much.
We're so familiar with the creepy kid idea that this was, it's like the other one that was real big around this time, Village of the Damned. Bad Seed, Village of the Damned.
Village of the Damned, yeah.
All that stuff. So I think that was all kind of new, and this was definitely like the weird. I want to know how the idea for this came about and who came up with it. And it's just, I don't know, it's just cool. And to make it so creepy.
Yeah. Well, so it sounds like, from what I understand, the screenwriter who he said it was unaltered from his original draft.
Interesting.
So yeah.
So then you see Sylvia and Chris getting ready for bed, and Chris is like smoking by the window, and they're having a conversation, and it comes out that apparently the mom, Grandma, had 2 kids before Chris, and it doesn't say anything about the dad, her husband, or anything, or partner, or whatever. Just says she had 2 kids before him, and she lost them both, which is why she was so attached to him, and then later, especially to Billy, who reminded her of Chris and helped her kind of move past the loss of the kids. And so that's what she was meant about, saved her life and all that when she was talking earlier. Which is really interesting, because it's kind of like this, it adds another facet to it of like, okay, was the woman who took her son away, Was she talking about one of her first kids? You know,
Hmm.
did she have? Was that all about? Was this really about Sylvia as the woman who took her son away, or was it some other story of a? You know, you could do like a whole piece on this.
Well,
I
yeah,
think.
you could tease out other plot lines.
Right.
It's very fertile, like a creative writing prompt. If you treated the
Yeah.
entire episode as a creative writing prompt, that's kind of how, again, like how you would end up with something akin to Hereditary or something.
Exactly, and that's the piece I was going to say is the hereditary piece. To me, you keep pulling on these threads, and you're like, oh, you know,
But they had
keeps coming
20
up.
minutes, so they kept it simple.
Right, exactly. So, um, they go to bed, and that night, the mom wakes up. Sylvia wakes up by the sound of Billy talking and laughing. So she goes into his room and runs over to him and grabs the phone out of his hands, and she's freaks out and drops the phone after she listens to it. And Chris comes up and he's like, "What? What's going on?" And she apparently broke it when she dropped it because she was freaked out. And Chris comes up to her and he's like, "What's going on?" And she goes, "I could hear her breathing. I couldn't hear her voice, but he was talking to her. I could hear her breathing on the other end of the line." And they're like, "Wait, where's Billy?" And they go running around the house trying to find him, and they run out to the back past the porch, and that's that scene where she's like, "Oh," and she screams, and she's like freaking out. You can tell she's like losing it. And her Chris comes running out, and he like lunges towards the pond, and you don't see him grab anything, but he's reaching out towards something, and you get the idea that clearly Billy has drowned himself in the pool.
Chilling scene.
Yeah, like, and God, can you imagine if he had actually been floating in there? That would have been super dark.
Yeah.
I wonder if they've gotten calls about that because it's just so. Yeah. Anyway,
I think as it is, yeah, it's plenty.
yeah, totally. It would have been like over the top, maybe. So then it comes back, and there's paramedics like with Billy on a table. You don't really see Billy so much as the paramedics or the firemen you said earlier are all huddled around him, and they're trying to see if he's okay. And Sylvia's like having a mental breakdown. She's like losing it. She's like, she took him away. She took him away. She took him away. And it's like, oh man, again, ties to Hereditary. And one of the ambulance attendants comes over and says his chances aren't good. You know, maybe we'd gotten here a few minutes earlier. So the doctor's on his way now, though. And Chris is like distraught, and he's looking over at his wife, who's just wide-eyed and like breaking down. And he goes upstairs, and he goes up to the phone, and he's like, "Mom, if you can hear me, this is Chris. I know you love Billy, and I know you said you loved him so much, and he wants a life, and he deserves a life. And if you really love him, you'll let him live, and you'll give him back." And he goes through this whole thing. It's really emotional and moving. And it kind of ends with him kind of breaking down, like begging her. And they do this kind of a cool camera shot where they kind of pull from above. It's the idea that you get the idea of somebody looking down on him. And as this is happening, the attendants are trying to revive Billy, and all of a sudden something happens, and the attendants go, it worked. It worked. And so they come over, and they're like, he's going to make it. I don't know what we did, but he's going to make it. And Chris comes down the stairs, and he and Sylvia embrace, and Billy's going to be okay.
It's a good episode.
And we get the voiceover at the end. A toy telephone, an act of faith, a set of improbable circumstances, all combine to probe a mystery, to fathom a depth, to send a facet of light into a dark after region, to be believed or disbelieved, depending on your frame of reference. A fact or a fantasy, a substance or a shadow, but all of it very much part of the Twilight Zone.
Essential episode, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a great it could have been even darker apparently, but was pretty dark. I mean, again, by the times, I feel like that was intense.
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting that next week we have J.J. Abrams' favorite episode. Because big creative people, they always get asked sooner or later which favorite episode of the Twilight Zone. If anybody works in genre, I think. And he was like 100 yards over the rim, which to me, I like this week's episode more, Long Distance Call, than I did 100 yards over the rim, but it's still a fantastic episode.
Yeah.
So I'm looking
I like them both.
Yeah.
This one to me, I like because it has the spookier aspects, and there's that piece of like, just kind of the sinister piece of it. But I also 100 yards of the rim is a great, is a great one.
It feeds the Back to the Future kind of vibe a little bit.
It's good. It's cool too. I'm looking forward to talking about it next week because it's got some interesting. What's the phrase I want to use? It's a good establishes some rules for time travel.
Yeah. It's again Twilight Zone coming back to that well and maybe refining it.
Right.
All right. Well, we'll talk to you then.
Sounds good. Thank you.